and let us all do we can to build a better future.
So Kshama Sawant, she's been recently making a lot of news in regards towards, hey, we need to think something different about the Democratic Party, and we need a real challenger to stand up against Biden and the Republican Party. So this is a video excerpt from Bad Face Politics. Again, shout out to Brianna Joy Gray, who has done a fantastic job. But I want to hear what Kshama Sawant says in regards to the fact that we need a progressive challenger, just not one in the Democratic Party. Let's play this video.
There absolutely should be a progressive challenger from the left in a militant campaign. I absolutely don't think it should be from the Democratic Party. And I do want to address the specific names that you brought up. But before doing that, I want to say it's much more about the strategy, the political strategy that we as working people use to bring a real challenge to the Democratic and Republican candidates. And the starting point, the ABCs of that strategy are you don't run as a Democrat. Because look at what they did to Bernie Sanders. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry of progressive Democrats supported Bernie in 2020. They were, when I went to the Tacoma Dome to speak at Bernie's rally, they were all there with me. I know these people. They don't support Bernie's politics, but they were there because it was so easy. There was nothing at stake to get on the Bernie bandwagon at that time and yet then go ahead and support Biden once Bernie was crushed, because we all knew that was going to happen. The Democratic Party elite were going to use some trick or another to get Bernie off the books. And then you got James Clyburn, you got South Carolina, and lo and behold, it happened. We didn't know exactly how it would happen, but we knew it would happen. So the first obligation we have as people on the left, if we are serious organizers, if we have any loyalty to the working class, is to first be crystal clear about that. Whether it makes you popular or not, be crystal clear. The Democratic Party is not the way to go. And I don't want to hear, these things that people come up with on the left where they'll say, well, it's the ballot line, it's the technicality. No, this is no technicality. This is, if you don't run as an independent, you are not taking on the fight that needs to be taken on, which is to present an independent fight back. And if you don't, Bernie was the strongest expression so far of the burning desires that working people have. And I have a lot of appreciation for Bernie, but look what happened. It went nowhere.
That's right. So, what's the takeaway from that video? So before we pull up the next video, Kshama Sawant's bringing up a lot of great points, something that we've talked about on the show. Now, ideally, in a better world, I know, hold on, I'm ready. I'm going to get ready for the pushback. Ideally, boy, oh boy, what a sight it would be if you could reform the Democratic Party. You can't, it's not going to happen. You can't just say, I'm going to have the bear eat me and then change it from the inside. The bear is going to crap you out. If the progressive movement, independents, really want there to be change, you can't run in the Democratic Party, you can't run the Republican Party, because the two-party system is one the same. The same people who donate to Republicans donate to Democrats. Same people who control both parties control the media. And in that, there was a perfect environment for Bernie Sanders' campaign to be destroyed. Now, he willingly let it happen. He didn't stand up for his people. He let election fraud take place during the 2016 and 2020 Democratic primaries. Not once did he push back against the Hillary Clinton campaign. Not once did he push back against his good friend Joe Biden's campaign. That's right, Bernie, that's your good friend. Now, not once but twice, Bernie Sanders' political movement was derailed. Chris Hedges was right calling him out. Jimmy Dore was right. Everyone in independent media was right calling out the fact that Bernie Sanders let it happen. And there has to be a movement outside. Now, the pushback that is always given to us, especially when we say, hey, it's got to be independent or third party, and that is, well, third parties never stand a chance. Well, that's because a lot of people are falling for that propaganda, but we need somebody to really shake things up. The only two third-party candidates that I know of in my recent time being alive that really shook things up and really challenged the two-party system was Ross Perot, but when it was between Clinton and George Bush, and of course with Ralph Nader in 2000 with Al Gore and George Bush Jr. We really haven't had any third-party candidate on the debate stage with the other two mainstream presidential candidates. We need to look at something different, and we need to start actually building movements and organizations that are not connected to Washington, D.C., because you cannot at any point in time think that somehow the Democratic Party won't put its weight on the scale. They'll do that. Let's play this next video. It's from Sappy Sab's show. Sappy Sab's. I don't have my cup here, but she had Kshama Sawant on the show as well, where she's talking about Democrats. Let's play it.
Agreed. Kshama, I have one more question for you, because this is one that my viewers ask me often on the show, and I said I'm just going to ask Kshama herself. Do you ever think that you would consider running for a Congress position and not running through the two-party system? For example, I would like to see you primary challenge Pramila Jayapal. That's just me. But have you thought about that?
I mean, just in the spirit of how we have run all our campaigns in socialist alternative and the principles that we believe in politics, it would never be an individual decision. Obviously, when we ran the first campaign itself, when I became the candidate for socialist alternative, it was not an individual decision. In fact, some of your viewers might know this. I was extremely reluctant. I was quite actually annoyed that my name was being put forward. And I resisted as much as I could. However, democratically, our organization decided that who the candidate should be, what the campaign platform should be. Obviously, I was part of those discussions and I played a big role in formulating the campaign itself. But ultimately, my point is that it has to be the democratic decision of the organization as a whole. And the decision itself, again, as Marxists, we take a very scientific approach to political analysis. So when we run a campaign, it will be based on, is there a tactical advantage here? Is there an opening here? What kind of demands will we bring up? Who is the candidate who will be best suited for this position? Maybe I won't be best suited in another situation. Maybe another candidate would be best suited. In that sense, it's a scientific and democratic process of decision making. Sorry for being long-winded, but that's the process we would take to decide if we would run for a different office as well.
All right. Now, the thing is, I like what, again, Kshama Sawant was bringing up there. Look, you're going to need to do your research. You're going to need to scout ahead, especially if you're not going to be running in the two-party system. I mean, look, in an ideal world, I would like to say to Kshama Sawant, yeah, definitely run for Congress. But then let's look at the facts on the ground, because we've covered this on, especially her election, for her council seat in Seattle numerous times. And what happened when she won and when she got reelected again? And that is, we saw a joint effort by the Democratic and Republican Party and their corporate donors, Amazon in particular, do everything they can to derail her campaign, Kshama Sawant's campaign to be precise, smear her, and try and ruin her political career. When you run third party, and if you're as successful as her, you're going to make enemies. Hey, AOC, that's how you raise the ruckus. It's not by being friendly with Mama Bear or going to Met Gala events. Kshama Sawant really had to put a lot at stake just to win her city council seat. And in one of the elections, her opponent, his donors gave him $2 million for a city council seat. That's how scared the establishment is, especially at a city level, county level seat. If a third-party candidate wins and causes a ruckus, you better believe the Democratic and Republican Party and their donors and everyone else, watch how buddy-buddy they get. Watch how good pals they get. It happens. And that's why in this next election cycle, in 2022 and in 2024, whether you're green, libertarian, socialist alternative, which mind you is again a political organization, or if you're People's Party, be ready. Be ready for all the smears. But look, if there's going to be a real movement for change, it's got to start now. You got to start building your infrastructure now. Don't waste our time. You got to start building the infrastructure now. And we do need to look at somebody to challenge the system. Now, on the one hand, not to make light of the situation, what a sight it would be if Jimmy Dore decided to run. Jimmy 2024. That'd be pretty cool. But there's a lot at risk for him and everybody else. And even in 2020, a lot of people were asking Jesse Ventura to do that too. There's a lot at stake, but we have to really start having this conversation, especially when it comes down to independent and third-party candidates running for office, be it at the county level, state level, or federal level, or even for the highest office of the land, President of the United States. but you can't do it in the Democratic Party. If you're independent or progressive, you're not going to change it. And if someone's going to challenge Biden, it has to come outside of the two-party system. We already know that Donald Trump's going to probably run again in 2024. If he doesn't, I think we'll all be surprised. But nonetheless, if we want real change, we got to start demanding it now. So again, shout out to Kshama Sawant, who's speaking truth to power. Now more than ever, we need to stand up and work together.